let me introduce you once again to Mr. Enrique, who told me yesterday we were discussing, and he was telling me that first of all, he's going to address some of the questions that last week an answer asked him regarding heritage conservation and how can this artificial intelligence be applied for heritage conservation. And then he will again try to do a summary of the session he gave last week. He will keep it straightforward, short, to leave some time for some exercises and also for questions and answers. And I know, and we know that till you don't practice, this question of answers will not come, no? Maybe, but we are looking for also some sessions. I think it's going to be mid-April and in May when we could assess the work you are doing. So there will be time for responding these practical challenges you may be having. So Enrique, if you are okay, you can start sharing our presentation and looking forward to your inputs. Thank you.
Okay. So, okay, I have here. Okay. Okay. So we are continuing then the lesson of that we started last week. But in this case, as Belen suggested, we are also answering to Anand. I don't know if you are talking. Okay, so I will continue. So I will show a case that we did in the university that somehow uses image generation for heritage, or in this case, it's not heritage because it's not an build construction, but it's dealing with Roman buildings. So I think in that sense, I think it will show a bit the potential, no, of this technology. Again, I will summary a bit of last session, and then I will try to show you some of the apps and how they can do the workflows that I explained last week. Okay, so in this case, as I said, I'm going to show you a project done 2 years ago in the university. Was just a student along with one of the professors here, Antonio Cidoncha. And in the end,
please switch off your mics.
Yeah, please, could you? Okay. So then it's in there are some letters from Pliny the Younger that explains the house where he lives. Okay, so in this exercise, in the end, it was in the Renaissance onwards. These letters from Pliny became like a famous recording work now. So some architects like Scamozzi, for example, discipline of Palladio, started to try to interpret those letters and started to draw how more or less could be the plan of the house that was described in those letters. After Scamozzi, other Italian architects started to trying to figure out how this house was. As you can see in these diagrams, you see a lot of plans done by architects of the time, and then, for example, just Friedrich Schinkel, for example, also tried to do how this villa could look like. No, so they started, and there are a lot of architects in this this sense. I think Schinkel was the famous one, but you see, it was a topic that during the last 300 years or so in architecture was important, because this kind of letters explain a villa that as it wasn't built, it helps you to try to discover how this Roman buildings were, trying to introduce new parts, these kind of things. And that's how, for example, look for this, these architects, Rogotti and Maciej Tarkowski, during the 90s. What they did was taking these 3D models of, well, in the 90s and then in the 20s. Okay, what they tried to do was 3D model all the plans did by Schinkel, no? But again, it's just trying to think how this building looked like. So in this sense, in the university, what they did is just trying to do the same, but using the generative AI through a prompt, and in this case, using DALI, the version 3, uh, and trying not to do the entire building, but just some passages, some parts of the building. No, excuse me, I am a bit sick. I hope I don't cough so much. So you see, for the patio, for example, no, you have here the prompt, and you see there are. It started with one version, then with another one, until you refine somehow how the patio looked like, and then this is the final image with the final prompt. So once again, you have like a grasp of how this patio of this villa could look like according to what these letters said. The dining hall also that it's been described by Plinium. Then you have again one prompt, another one, then refine until you get the last one, because it was important, for example, that you have view, for example, to the sea, because it's been described in the letters, no? So in that sense, I think this is the best option compared to the other ones. Once again, the curved room, the same, once again, the same process, no? Just refining the prompt until you get the image that you think could be the best, no? Not just only because it looks the best, it's more beautiful, but also because it shows better some of the things that are described, like the mosaics, no? So these kind of things are important to be shown in the final image. The same for the bath, we start with a small one, then it evolves into bigger places, and then we have this one that somehow still bigger than the first one, but also includes these drawings on the floor, also with the atmosphere of the water. I think it's better shown in this image compared to the other ones, also with a view to the sea. The portico space, is really, really important in this kind of villas, to walk around and connect all the places. Again, the same workflow. Start with one prompt, keep going and evolving that prompt so you can obtain new images until you get the last one. That, for example, this marble checkered pavement, it's probably the best. It's the best. It's in this image best render, for example, also the bricks, a couple of statues that usually were there. So, and you can see here all the images that have been developed only, for example, for that space. There was just a series of images, 4 for each prompt, until you get the last result, and exactly the same for all the other places. But so I think you can see the potential with, in this case, it was just an unbuilt building. But just imagine that you have some drawings of some buildings that are no longer here. So maybe with those drawings and with the prompts, you can also render some images that could mimic how that building looked like. So I think in that sense, for heritage, for example, there's some potential here. And even so, you can also train some LoRa's, as I did, suggested last session, that could be based on some type of architecture or some architect. So maybe for destroyed building or unbuilt building of that architect of that style, or maybe with a specific style, you can also produce images that could be as close as possible to the real building. So once again, this is just a bit summary of what we did last week, and compared to the last lesson of Fernando, no, where we introduced these LoRa's and control nets compared to just the simple text. And this is how the workflow looked like, for example, with the control nets here, and then the LoRa introduced here as long as the checkpoints. Once again, no, as you could have with the LoRa's different styles, just as like a sketch or just like an architectural model, real photography or real rendering, and also with the control net, what you had was some more control because as you introduce these canny or depth or segmentations conditionings, then the artificial intelligence could understood better the building that you have in the image, the outline, the depth of the entire image, some, giving like segmentation with colors as materials, these kind of things, And once again, a couple of we did, some examples with just a regular sketch and then obtaining a 3D drawing. That's something that we are going to do today also. And with just a quick model from SketchUp or Rhino, 3D model programs that then you can also render, or even if you have like a more developed 3D render, but still is not good enough, you can enhance somehow the results. Or just iterations trying to change some materials. This is like dark wooden facade, and then suddenly it can be concrete, or it could be again wood but gray one, or maybe this is like a kind of metallic shading materials. So this is a bit, and then I will start trying to show you some of the apps, because there were also questions around it in the last session, so I can show you which ones I think it will work for you, and even so the ones that could be done if you download checkpoints and all the materials. So if you have a good computer, you can also try to do in this way. So I will try to show now. Okay. Where is my... So I think you can see my web browser, isn't it?
Yes, we can see.
But I think it's not the right window. Sorry. Let's see. Okay, I will show. Okay. So now you see what I'm going to share with you. For example, if this kind of LoRa's that I explained, that I also tell you about, so you can see that you can also use this web page that it's called Form Finder to put a prompt and get some images only with the prompt, not having like an image. But from this web, for example, you can download. Obviously, you need to pay for them. Some years ago, this kind of material was for free, but not anymore. But here, for example, you can see the styles that you can get if you use this kind of LoRa's. For example, with lines, interiors, this like more realistic, or another type of drawing, model. But as you see, and I tried to explain last week, it's called Model Maker Excel. And in this one, for example, it's Flux. So it's important to notice that if what kind of base model you are using. If you are using Flux, then you need to use all materials related to that model. If you are using Excel, then you need to use that one. If not, they are not going to work. For example, as I said with segmentation last week, no, or if you have just an image, for example, in Crea, that's another web that I showed you last week and now today again. So it's Crea, and you have some shapes. For example, you draw a shape here. You can change the color. You can add another one, like it's like a window, and then another one. Okay, I have to change the. So let's. Okay. I don't know why it's not changing the color. Okay. So, but the okay. Okay, but here you can place a prompt and you can say, okay, a greenish house in a street in India, for example. No, and let's see what they compose. No? Okay, I think it's not working. I don't know why, but I tried to do it before also, just so I could show you how it worked. But I don't know if you can see the results because it's not. Seeing this prompt, I also try to add a bit of more of information, like even with it was a photography done by one Van, it's a famous photographer nowadays, but I don't know why it's not working. It was working earlier. Let's see if I try again. So this kind of in this web, you have to do it. You have to choose real time, and then from here is where you start from there. Okay, now it starts to work better. But the thing is, if you change this, no, for example, then the image changes directly. What you need to change is also the strength. So if you want to look it more as the original image, then you should lower down the strength of the AI because you are not giving it so much freedom. No, and now, for example, you can see that there's like a green building and a circular window just there. No, and if we keep going down, for example, then it's starting to look much more closer to the original image, but obviously it's not rendering the parts that we wanted to do. No, but you can see depending on this, it changes, and also you can change the place of the window, play with it and see some quick iterations with just a simple collage just to say. Then we have this one. It's one of the most popular ones, Prom AI. It's for free. You can use it, but basically you need to pay in the end because if not, you are not going to be able to do this. All these options, auto painting, photo from sketch, or even sketch rendering. So that's once again all the problems with this kind of subscriptions. No, it's not for free any longer. This one that we also talked last week about, it's Evolve Lab with Veras. As you see, it's kind of like an add-on for some programs, or SketchUp, Revit, Rhino, or Vectorworks, but it could be used also online. And in the end, what it does, it's rendering from the model you have. But it doesn't understand you again the model. It's just the image you have, the point of view you have of that model. But you can have it directly on your favorite CAD program or BIM program. This is also a new one. It's called Janus. It's from Germany, but again, it's quite it's new and it's not for free anymore. Also, it was like 2 months ago, it was for free. It was in beta state, so that's why. But you see, it's really focused on architecture, and you see, again, with colors, you can assign materials, enhance some of the materials already in the renderings. So I think this one, for people who is willing to pay a bit for all these services, I think it's a nice option. And you see, you have a lot of tutorials also for it on YouTube. And then this is the one that I usually use beside that it's really close to Janus, no? So you have here the images, you upload them, and then from here you decide. Still, I'm going to show you how, if you want to use your own desktop, how to do it. You need all the material installed previously, but I'm going to show that it's not that easy even to open the program, no? Because you need to open terminal or MS-DOS in PC, and you need like a code to execute this. So you go to the folder, get here, you need to open a terminal at that folder, and then you execute this command, and it starts all the program as you see here. Now it takes a bit to load all the material, and then you need to go to this address, this IP address. You open it, and suddenly you have this workflow. No? That it's more complex than maybe what I showed before, because this one can also have you can also add a reference image, which is a bit tricky to use. That's why, for example, here bypassed, I'm not using it. But you have the checkpoint, you have the LoRa, you have all your prompts, positive and negative, and then you have your image. And when you run this, suddenly you get your Kani, and now we will have our depth also. But as you see, it's not that quick, at least in my computer. So it's still taking some time only to produce one image, no? So in many cases, and in Visual, for example, I will show you that in less time you can produce 4 images at a time. No, so that's why it really depends on the computer you have, and if you want to use your specific checkpoints and specific LoRa's, no? So you can have more control, because in the other apps you are using the ones that they develop, not the ones you want to use. But still, no, it's still not done, even though it's a really small image. You can see all the process behind. It's doing 30 steps. We are still in the 19 or 20. So, probably not the best option for the most common users. What you can do, for example, is instead of doing it in your computer, there are also some services, and this is the image we obtain. Obviously, it's not that good, but they render some things. We should change all the glass, and well, some parts of the stones are much better than before, but still, we should need to keep improving and use Photoshop. No? But if you prefer, or you want to try this kind of method or workflow, instead of like easy web user friendly, for example, as this one, you can also have this option. It's called Run It, and it's by Run Diffusion, and from here you can pay. It's I think like $1 for each hour, and you see again we have this workflow, but you do it online, and then you can obtain the same image as I did on my computer, but in less time, because what you do is renting like GPUs and online servers. So for a person, for example, that doesn't have a really good computer but wants to try this kind of workflows that are more personalized, for example, maybe this option of of run diffusion is a good option, because then you can do images much faster, but trying your own workflows, your own methods. No, that's also a good option. Okay, but today I think I'm going to show you this one, which is as I said, Visual. So for example, we are going to add just a quick drawing. But it's I don't have this one. Okay, so we have just this sketch, no? We upload it, and then from here we have these options, like, okay, it's an exterior one, no? This is like a facade drawing. What's the level that you have here from this drawing? You have drawing, obviously it's not detailed texture or whatever, it's just a simple drawing. And from here we have, again, positive prompt or negative prompt. Here, I don't know, this is a drawing from a Spanish architect called Campo Baeza that always does this kind of building that looks like platforms with that are made of stone. We are going to say, okay, it's like a facade of a building. It's made of stone. Photo, for example, it's also good to try to put what kind of view you are using. So maybe you specify a bit the lens. I will say like, okay, this is an Olympus 3Co lens with 17 millimeters focal length. Like I don't know, sunny sky. And from here you can also choose from how many number of images, and then which render engine you want to use. The render engines in the end is the checkpoints are explained, because they developed this new one, but I usually prefer the first one. I will do a comparison so you can check which ones are better. You can also add a reference image. The problem is that the reference image, it can be tricky to use, as I explained, because it depends on how much weight you put on it. Then you are not, the final image won't resemble the drawing, but only the reference image. So if you want to try to use this, then you need a really good image as a reference that really look close to the drawing you have, or the render you have. And once again, you have this image input blend. It's exactly how much the final image will resemble to the drawing, and the geometric freedom exactly the same. These, in the end, are the control nets, but in a simpler way, no? That everyone can understand. You have a slider and say, okay, we can change it, add more weight, less, okay. So I will try to generate an image, for example, and see what we have. Once again, it's not instantaneous, but obviously it's quicker than what I show you with my computer, and you also get 4 images, no? Which is obviously much better when you are trying to have different options, when you don't really know, because it is a drawing, you don't really know the material, for example, at the beginning, no? Okay, it's almost there. So, it's not really understanding it so well, no? The shadows, it's like it's still stone, so that's why I tried to really emphasize last week that it's not that direct, the process. Usually you need to uh, go on and forth. For example, with this one, maybe if you only render again once, and you tell it it's Windows, or you go to Photoshop and you say, okay, window. Or if you use a good reference image, for example, just say this house is quite similar to the image we have. For example, we could also use this one as a reference. And now, for example, let's see, no? But as you see, style strength, you could put it more or less. I think right now, to be safe, it's okay to put it just around the middle, just to check how the results became compared to the last ones. No? Again, you have all the images here, so you can still download them and work on them. Okay, so let's check. Okay, so it's almost there. See, it's not that easy to get good results. That's why these kind of tools are, they need to be still developed, and also you need to find as users the right workflow and which app suits you best, no? Because all these ones have their strengths and weaknesses. And for example, I believe that Visoid probably is not the best one to do this kind of drawing to render, but it's better when you have like a 3D model already there, so it renders better. But just to check, no? Just imagine that we use the second engine and give it a bit more of tile strength. And then we will see, no? Once again, what kind of options they give to us. Okay, so now this one, for example, it could be if you are, I think it starts to look a bit better, more, at least more realistic, closer to the image. But that really depends on what kind of material do you want to apply, no? But as you see, as the drawing has this kind of shadows, the EI it's not really understanding what's happening there. So I think it's important that when you make a sketch, you take to account these kind of things. Also, these drawings, it's like for the AI, it doesn't understand what's happening here, all these kind of lines. So I think the best way to use it, this kind of workflow with drawings, is to do it as clean as possible, and obviously with lines that are as straight as possible. If not, the 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 app you use, it doesn't understand the entire composition of the building. So I think that's better in that sense, because when you render only a simple drawing, you can also then paste it in Photoshop, and once you have the background and then this image rendered, you can once again here and then enhance the image. I also had this the same example as before, but this one I did this quickly in Photoshop. I will show you, for example. So you have a background and you want to render like a new building there. So we want, and then you have here, you have like a texture image, but you want it photorealistic during the day or even in the morning. And now here we are going to use another prompt, no? Like, okay, a new detached house. Big reflective. Just to check what happens, no? This one, okay. In this case, we don't have, I'm going to delete the image and see what we have. I did another examples, but I tried to render everything with one color. These ones, for example, I think are better examples now. It really detected where the windows were. The material could be even, a bit lighter as here or not. Also made a bit of difference compared to the original, but once again, you can take this in Photoshop, cut it, paste it, and try to use the original buildings. But this is more a better example, I think, of the strengths of this app when you are using, for example, images that are not sketches, that are a bit, we have more materials, more details, but you can see it works, I think, quite well for just trying to check, for example, with materials. Indeed, you can, I don't know if this looks like summer, obviously, but maybe we have, we want the image to be like in winter, no? So let's check how the atmosphere changes when we try to put this, no? See, now you have snow in the terraces, the lighting has changed, it's like more on top, more snow here. Obviously, it doesn't look that good, but it's these kind of things that you can try depending on what the goal is for your image. Or even you can change here the style, like different styles. Try to check, just for example, if we are doing this image in pencil, if just as if you draw it by hand, for example. That's a bit the kind of things that nowadays a lot of architects do for competitions, for example. See, but it's more like a drawing, but still for me it's like too much material. So that's the kind of things I just change a bit more, and then the image blend, just try to lower it a bit. So that's what I always say. Now, these kind of iterations are the key to, in the end, get to the image that you want. No, so it's not, I would say, like a path that you know since the beginning, because you don't know exactly what image are you going to get, but that's how you need to go back and forth. No, so this is a bit better, but still, nah. And then finally, I will try to improve just a render that maybe you can. Okay, I will upload another image that I have. Show you today. So if you have, for example, this image that you see the stone is really bad rendered, it's like super fake. The wood is better, but also the glass is reflecting quite weirdly. This kind of structure is better, but if we put a new prompt here, I already have here. No, this is this image is from one of my students this year, and this is the prompt that I used to start with these granite stones, and in a part of Spain, also the carpentry and so on. So let's see what we have, and I will show you later the final image that we obtained with this project compared to the original image. It took us like 3 hours to develop it. So today I'm doing it quite quickly. We don't have enough time, but as you see now, the rendering at least works much better. The stones for me are not still that good. That's something that you need to work on. But as you see, these reflections here are much better. Even the depth here of the corridor, thanks to the lightning. Here also the shadows, the material in the floor, starts to look much better. And also even the sun, the atmosphere, I think it looks quite improved compared to the other one. Usually the problems with this kind of renderings are the verticals. If you see, for example, in this part, then with the reflections, it's starting to lose a bit of the geometry. So these parts are tricky, and probably you need to rework it on Photoshop. Taking these ones, paste them here, then once again come back. But at least this part is looking much better. So I will change also the render engine, because in this case I used the first one, because the render engine version 2 looks a bit more punchy with the colors. For example, I prefer to be like more calm, just to say, but that's really depending on your style, obviously. See, these images are a bit more calm compared to the ones, the tones of the image, but still the stones are not as good as they should be. Here now, it doesn't understand the path of the depth of the corridor, so that's why in most cases you need to take one of the images, edit it in Photoshop once again, take one of the other ones that maybe have elements that you want, so then you can cut from those parts and then do like kind of collage, and then in the end come once again here and to this part you say like, okay, amount of change and enhance, and you put the final image here, so you can improve some of the materials that you already got. In this case, as we didn't improve anything, I think the image will look exactly the same. But that's how when you have done like a collage with different parts taken from all the previous images, they will look well all together. Okay. Now they they darken a bit, but for example, here the structure is cleaner and better than before, but still, you have some problems with some parts of the building. But this is, somehow the potential of these apps, and I will try to show you now this image. So this was the final image, because we also tried to enlarge the image to have a beautiful tree, persons. The stone is much better. Also, you have here this concrete slab, which also helps to the stones not to fall down, which obviously makes it more real. The door with the corridor here, obviously the structure is improved. Not that it's perfect still, no, but I think somehow this image shows that from that one you can get to here if you know how to use these apps, and and I know it's not, a task that takes only like 15 minutes that some people may think with these generative apps, but still this has been done in 2 hours instead of having to render for at least one day or even model everything as precise as possible, as you know, with the have when you have these slabs of concrete and all these details on the top of the roof, so you don't need to do it. And even the stones also are improved, could be even better, but it still looks much better than it was in the original image. So for my part, I think that's all for today. I know I've shown like quite a lot of things, but I think the only way to really grasp the potential of these workflows is to use it. So if you have questions, please, you can start right now.
Yeah, there is one question. Thank you, Enrique. There is one question in the chat that I think is Kamal Yanari. Is asking if we can use Comfy UI in place of logs. Maybe she can ask you the question directly, Kamal.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Sir, I have tried to use Comfy UI.
Okay.
So is it equally good as LoRa's, or LoRa's is better?
No, I mean, LoRa's are inside Config UI. It's
Right.
part of it. So, I mean,
Right.
I will try to share also once again the screen. I mean, when you go you have Config UI open, as I have here. The
Yes, sir.
LoRa's, it's something that you need to to place inside. No, you load the checkpoint, which is the base, and then you have the LoRa. And if you
Right,
want
sir.
to add another one, you can add, because, for example, I have a second one, and they are connected. So these LoRa's influence what it's then produced in the final image here. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The thing with the LoRa's, it's you need to find them and download them, obviously, and place it in the folder that you need to put it. In this case, I can show you in Mac. It's when you have Config UI, then you have models, and then in the folder of LoRa's, you have it. But as I said, you need to be sure of what kind of checkpoint are using, because in this case, these ones are Excel, but I have another ones that are for flags, as you see. So that you really need to take account for that, because if not, they are not going to work. It's going to, indeed, I can show you that it's going to show you an error. For example, I'm going to use these flags, and when you run it, it should say here like, okay, a mistake.
Sir, I also have one more question.
Mhm.
I have a paid Midjourney account. So is there a way like I can use it in a combination with Comfy UI? Because I
For
believe Comfy
example,
UI works on the model of stable diffusion, right? If I'm not mistaken.
exactly. No, stable diffusion, flux, and there is another one, but the most used ones are those two, okay?
Yes.
And stable diffusion, nowadays, it's not 1.5, I think it's 3.5. But
Okay.
if you want to use it, you need more resources, because it's
You are muted, Enrique, you are muted.
I don't know why. Okay, if you are using this workflow inside Config UI, it's exactly the same as using Midjourney, because you only put the prompt with the positive, the negative, and then you will obtain an image. So it's exactly the same, but here you can have more control over the things, no? Because you have how many steps. Uh, Here you can add like classifier free guidance. Okay, you can reduce this or put it more weight. So that's kind of things that here you have more control. And also from here you can obtain an image with, you see, it's not that good quality, but then you can upscale it with another workflow. So the thing is, with Comfy UI, you can do what all the other apps do, but you need to know more and have more knowledge about how to use it, okay?
So, sir, the question remains: is there no way, if I have a paid version of Midjourney, can I not involve it in the workflow of Comfy UI? Can I not use the GPU power of Midjourney because I'm already paying for it?
I mean, if you're using Midjourney, what you can do is just use that the images you obtain from there, and then in Comfy UI, then I think what you can do is place the image here, the image that you produced in Midjourney, and from here you will have more control with the control nets, no, with the depth and the canny, and also apply the LoRa's, so you can improve the images that you obtained before. For example, I think that's maybe a process that a workflow that you can use.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
There is another question, I think, from Kanika.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, Enrique.
Good evening.
I would like to ask regarding the prompts which we are writing in the prompt window. Whether it is a good thing to write it specifically in detail, or whether it is good to write a short.
It depends, really. It depends on the model you are using, because indeed there are some keywords that trigger some responses for the checkpoints, for example. So it really depends on the models you are using. In this case, with in this website, they show which prompts are better. And for example, here this is like a long one, but he specifies even the ISO for the, like a camera, you are using like a lens, the ISO, everything, no? And here he says like raw photo, architecture overexposed. As he uses the LoRa, he even gives with the prompt the weight, as you see, could be from 0 to 1, 0.7, 0.8, really works well. Then he explains where it is in London, designed by, so you have kind of a style, the material, you see, overcast sky, diffuse light, like, if you are like a photographer and if you want like a real render, you will need to specify these things. But as you see, it's not like explained like a story. It's like short sentences, but all together.
Yeah, because it sometimes doesn't take the things which we put in the prompt. So it renders from the reference image more in detail than the prompts.
Yeah, I mean, the more amount of things you explain in the prompt, the more control you have. So it's like a super basic prompt. Obviously, you are giving more freedom to the AI to produce whatever it thinks, consider the base models they have. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Nothing.
I think there is, Kanika ma'am, there is another more question. Oh, there is one hand up, Kanika. Maybe it's an error. Maybe she did it by mistake. Okay, any more questions? Okay.
Hi, Maria.
Hello. Would you like to ask a question? Would you like to ask the question?
Not really. I will use whatever was taught by Enrique today, and then probably wherever I get stuck, I will ask a question thereafter. I will have to practice before I really ask a question. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. As you raised your hand, we were
I don't know. I did not.
Maybe it was my mistake. No problem.
Maybe, yeah, thank you.
Any more question from someone? Any more guidance required? We have completed the 1 hour session, and we're going to wind up in case there is no. But again, to leaders of the teams, to the students, if you have any question, go to your leaders. The leaders can go to the chat. We all join. As Kanika Ma'am says, now when you start using it, when you are going to face the problems, I think those who are questions are those who already are working on it. Okay, so we need to start working, and then we will face the situation. This program is open. Okay, so in the sense that after some time, when you are practicing, you raise the questions, they will be also answered. Okay, maybe not immediately with some gap of the question can be taken, but this program doesn't finish today. Okay, so feel free to ask those questions. That means that you are working on it. Okay, so thank you, Enrique, again. I think, as you said, it's too much information, at least for those who are not so used to this language and to still start using. It is fascinating, even though I think, I don't know how much you can control. It's like, I find that is the machine.
You can control more than it seems, but it takes longer than it seems so also, no?
Yeah.
You know, it's not that immediately, okay, one click and suddenly it's there, but you know, it's still much quicker than modeling everything in a building, you know? So
yeah, but you need to have very clear also what is your
exactly, that's important. Exactly, it's important to have in your mind what you want to achieve. That's why I said it's important to maybe teach the students these kind of tools in the last courses, because in the first ones they don't know exactly what they are looking for. You know, they don't control even the building, so you cannot tell the AI what to produce. So you need this kind of you need to be critic and have this knowledge. And you know, for example, this image that it's here, obviously it's like a frontal image that shows the facade quite well. You need to know these kind of things and know about photographers. It's important in that sense. It's the only way to have more control and to get the image that you want.
Yeah, I think your message has been clear. I think we all grasp it. We will try to keep it in mind. And thank you so much. So thank you all. I know that you are working. All of you. So hope to.
Can I ask a question if we have?
Yes, Himanshu, go ahead, Himanshu, go ahead.
Yeah. Enrique, hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having a recap as well as showing the details further. And you know, we were looking into Comfy UI as well simultaneously, and we tested it out. But there were some areas of glitches. But we probably it's the prompt and the other issues that we were facing. But we will try it out. But meanwhile, we were also exploring the urban analyst AI, because I believe that all the professors and the schools who are participating in this program, they are to look into the urban villages. And when we actually take a deep dive into these urban villages, the idea of urban analytics comes into the picture. So we started to look from that perspective. So just wanted to check with you if you ever have come across urban analyst AI, something like that, in understanding the urban areas using the AI prompt with respect to the form finding or the environmental analysis
I know
or
some
something of
tools
that
that
sort.
are dealing with that. For example, in Veras, Evolve Lab, they have an app here that deals a bit with that, like Morphis. You know, you have the perimeter, and then you change. But also there is an app that I don't remember the name, but I can send you a message with the name, that you put all the restrictions and the laws of that place, you know, and you say like I need to get like 7-story high buildings and this kind how amount of square meters do we need, and you can somehow start playing with the masses and obtain buildings in urban like models of somehow the proposed buildings. And then obviously with that you can also render and get an image. But this kind of tools for urban design, I'm not using them because I also feel that they are a bit dangerous if the politicians know that they can use them, to develop an entire neighborhood, for example.
Exactly, because we long ago I tried Morphosis long ago, and it only allowed me to understand the land parcels and
Okay.
what kind of dynamics I can play with Morphos, and what kind of land parcels I would get, and how I can actually look into the urban design. But oftentimes in denser areas where it's not coordinated, it's not planned, it's all inorganic. And
Okay.
that's where we have to actually intervene and figure out those solutions for people and
Okay,
community.
yeah.
So that means we have to take a rudimentary approach of first understand the place, then figure out what are the issues, problems, then come out with a logical way of understanding the problem interventions. And with that intervention, come out with the sketches and forms and other things that these designs will really form out. But when we do use the AI, then it only resorts to the render portion. That means we have our design. Let's say I make a SketchUp model or a Rhino model, and then I insert it into a simplest stage 0, which is mid journey. And I insert that image into mid journey, and I get some render. And the way that you explained today also and last week also, it comes out with those kind of generation, but it doesn't really tell us that whether this is going to be a suitable design or not. So my mind ventured into that kind of a formation where we are using not at design level, not at building level interventions or building level usage of AI and then coming out with renders, but at urban level, and then how this AI transform the urban area so that we can retrofit our models simultaneously, so that we can visualize it in our VR headset and then make those modifications. So analytics AI is something that I came across which could delve into those areas. And Morpheus was another one, but Morpheus only gave me the land parcel. I was looking into the 3D volume and not in terms of 2D. So that's what I wanted to check with you, if if you have come something like this urban analysis, which actually tells you not just about the buildings or the land parcel, but simultaneously environment factors and a lot of other things that you incorporate.
So I know, for example, this one it's called Espacio AI, and this one, as I said, gives you like more options and depending on what you have, and it's more like urban, as you see.
Correct.
I never use it, but I know it. And you see, you can also check the lightning and things, and I don't know.
Yes.
And
I
I
also
don't know if you knew it or.
I only also read about Spacio. I've never used it. Morpheus definitely I did try.
Okay.
Maybe it's a trial and error method that we have to reach out to and then test it if it really works out for these kind of denser areas. And the way Spacio is working with 3D modeling, instantly we put those kind of land parcels into the model and then see and test it out. I'll try to use Spacio, because then 3D or volume in these dense areas are more required to understand the dynamics of the place.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe Spacio is something that I can try with and then engage and then see what the results are.
Yeah, for sure. Yes. In the end, as I said, you need to really try these tools and then see if they fit really to what you do or not, or this is the only way.
Correct. But the only drawback here is that it just tells you the volume. It doesn't actually give you the design interferences or design inferences. It doesn't tell you that. Just talks about the volume.
Yeah.
That's the only drawback that I found in other AI also. But maybe Spark can do something different, so I'll try it out. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you,
problem.
Enrique.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Enrique, there is another question from Mahinder in the chat saying if you could suggest another open source, open access substitute for Pisoid apart from free trail. Is there any other free?
Not anymore, I think, really, because free tools, I mean, before, like 2 years ago, they were for free, but nowadays that are being used by more people, no? They are starting to be implemented in professional studios or not only for architects, but for designers and everything. It's not that easy to find good options that are for free. I know it's a pity, but that's how it works.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that question also was answered. So if there is no any more questions, we'll thank again to Enrique, and we will also ask him to keep researching so that we can keep learning from you. And thank you everybody for attending this session, the last session at least, as far as the University of Navarra is concerned in terms of lecturing. So now it's time to interact students, leaders, and professors to see what you have been up to produce. So thank you very much, Enrique, again, and thank you all for your attending the session, and see you soon.
Yeah, bye, ciao, thank you.